very good morning to you. Welcome to Daily Dive, where we break down all of the latest trending topics and really the topics of the morning. This is the big story right now. Should Jacksonville return to normal? Is it too early for the city to reopen, or is the time just right? We want to hear what you guys have to say. Already seeing some of you coming on in and saying good morning. Good morning to Janet, Amber, Susan. Oh, that's Lou Turner. He says good morning, but I don't think he was talking to me. There's Courtney saying good morning. Jessica, Tiffany, Deborah, so many of you. We thank you all so much for joining us. So let's bring in Lou Turner. Let's bring in Keith Nelson on this incredible Wednesday morning.
Good
Hopefully you
morning.
guys are doing well. How's it going, people?
So good, so good. I was talking directly to you, Brooks. I wanted you to.
I don't think you were. I mean, you can say that, but I don't think you were, Lou. It's okay.
Hey, everybody, I want to have a good morning. How are you, Brooks? I haven't seen you in 48 days at least. That's
I
what the
know,
quarantine
man.
count
It's
up is
crazy.
at.
I'm doing well on this end, just trying to stay busy, trying to keep my head together, being locked on the inside right now. But people talking about, will there be some relief sometime really soon? We know that safer at home order, is set to expire, but we wonder, will it be extended, or will it just be like, hey, we're lifting that restriction later on this week, actually on Thursday. So lots of folks talking about all of that. But this is that main question. Is it time for Jacksonville to reopen? So we want you to use that heart emoji if you think the answer is yes, and then use the angry emoji if you say no. Now, Keith and Lou, one of the biggest things people are talking about is if dining, may become a thing. We know that Mayor Lenny Curry said something to the effect of basically like, dining restaurants, they may want to start preparing now, because in the near future, we could see them reopen. So there will probably likely be some restrictions and whatnot, but we're waiting to hear more and more details about that. But is it time? What do you all think?
I am so eager to hear what Governor Ron DeSantis is saying this morning. Well, today we're supposed to hear from him later on today. He has a big announcement. Always a big announcement, right? But this one I really eager to hear about, because we're likely going to hear about getting back to business here in the state of Florida. When will it actually happen? So with restrictions being lifted tomorrow, is it the 1st of May? That's going to be interesting to see as well, because I think a lot of businesses that are just eager to open, they're already taking the steps, if not preparing their, opening their doors now. For me, I don't know. Certain things you're not going to catch me doing at this point. I'm not going to go to a movie theater. You can open that if you want to. I don't know about, I love shopping, but I don't know about doing that either. So there's so many things. Even if folks do get back to normal, some businesses open, I think I'm still going to just wait a bit at this point.
Yeah, Steve just commented there, slow and easy, and I think slow and easy. It's like we mentioned on Good Morning Jacksonville today. This isn't the flip of a switch. It's more like going to be sliding up that dimmer switch. You know what I mean? Just kind of ease it, see what works. I think our leaders kind of reserve the right to, if they find, okay, so we've opened up these things, but we noticed a spike over a week, we're going to need to maybe bring it back down. Because if you open the floodgates and you turn it on all at once, and then all of a sudden you have to re-shut it down again, you're talking about some scar tissue for a lot of people. And I'm not just talking financially, I'm talking mentally. The mental health aspect of this. I mean, being cooped up, so many people are saying, no, don't reopen, it's too soon. But you got to respect the other side of that, which is the folks who are really, really struggling and mental health and well-being. I mean, we're seeing increased reports of suicide. We're seeing increased reports of overdose and substance abuse that we're hearing from authorities because of just being taken out of life, and just being forced to stop. And we get the health aspect of it, but I feel like the slow steps in the right direction could be a good thing for the state. In a state that has, frankly, according to the authorities, according to this data, if you just look at the data, has flattened the curve and it has slowed the spread.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Lou. And I think that's something to put out there. According to that data, Florida has done quite well. We're not like necessarily New York, where we've been hit that hard anyway, thank the Lord. But I think you have a lot of people right now who are still somewhat a little hesitant to reopen, just for the simple fact of making sure we keep it that way, keeping the data kind of where it is right now instead of seeing if it would potentially get worse. So I know a lot of eyes have been on Georgia to see, all right, well, now that they've reopened, will that mean that their data, their numbers will get a little worse? So of course, people kind of on the edge of their seats trying to see if that is going to happen. But we do want to share some of you all's comments. I saw a lot of angry emojis, so I guess that means that you're not angry with us, but you're saying no to the whole idea of reopening so soon. And you have Anna that says, yes, it's time. I am so ready to sunbathe. All right, Anna. And then you have Suzanne saying there's a clear risk and it will not go back as was standing 6 feet away from folks in masks. Actually, I have a question about that. Do we think we need to keep the mask around for a little longer? Just even if things reopen, is it time to keep the mask around? Every time I go to a grocery store now, of course, that's the first thing I make sure I have on to make sure I'm protected, or when I'm around people. And even yesterday on my walk, I noticed a lot of people were outside walking with masks as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead, Keith. I'm sorry.
just regarding the mask, I feel for some it's really just a safety net. I mean, it makes them feel comfortable. I have this on, somehow I'm protected. I'm in my own little bubble some way somehow. So just like everything else, I just say to each his own. If people really want to wear masks forever and ever, just let them do it. If people want to start opening their businesses at this point, you go for it. But everyone's not going to flock to these businesses because not everyone's comfortable with doing it just yet. Someone just said there, yes, open it up. If that's what you feel you need to do because you have to get back to work, you need to make some money, you have to pay your bills. I understand. And you're going to have some people who feel just like you. They're going to be eager to get back to your business. And then you're going to have those who's going to say, I'm just not ready. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Gotta live. But the debate is raging, and there are two sides to this debate, and probably third and fourth sides to it as well. And some folks find that just even talking about it is an absolute sham, and there are big issues. So let's leave it at this, and not to take Brooks's job, but moving on to the next topic, and before people get super upset with each other. That's not the point. You know what I mean? And frankly, we'll hear from our governor. Love it or hate it, you'll hear from the governor today on what the plans will be moving forward. And the fact is, if you want to stay in the house, you're going to have that option. And if you want to, if you don't want to wear the mask, I mean, fine. But there are going to be places that's going to require it, whether you believe that's working or not. So let's just keep our eyes open. We are going to stream the governor. We'll be here, whatever time. I haven't heard exactly what time yet. So we'll stream it. If you can't be around the TV, we'll have it Facebook Live, of course, and on firstcoastnews.com.
Absolutely. If you have those push alerts enabled on your phone, trust me, we will send you one through the First Coast News app, letting you know when that press conference is happening and whatnot, so you can make sure your eyes are there on the screen. And definitely a lot of eyes going to be on that today. So again, you guys can keep letting us know, what you think. But we are going to talk about this other topic as far as airplane seating. Airplane seating, how could they look in the future? Because a lot of people saying, hey, not really a big fan of flying right now, of course. And then, well, people don't really have many places to go anyway. But not really a big fan of flying. But when we do kind of get back to normal, how could airplane seats look? So I want you to kind of see these images that happen to be on your screen. And we know that with all the different social distancing measures in this post-coronavirus era, when we get there, we're talking about new seats and how it could really look. Now, right now, you have on planes, things are really close together. You even have JetBlue, that was the first airline to say you are required to wear a mask on its planes right now. But now it looks like they're going to be switching the seats up, possibly on some airlines where every other seat is turned the opposite way. So you have, let's say, seat 1 is towards the front of the plane, and then seat 2 is the reverse, and then seat 3 is back to the front of the plane. And I wonder, will that kind of help things a little bit? And will that be a cool way to see us on planes now?
No,
so you don't have to talk to your neighbor.
Initially, I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. But then look at this image. Well, I don't know if I'm having the same time with you, but there's an image I'm looking at right now where The guy is pretty much in your face, the one that's turned in the opposite direction. I don't want anyone that close to me. Yeah,
Right.
no. Because let's be real. When I sleep, sometimes if I open mouth a little drool come out. I don't want you staring at me when I'm sleeping on the plane. Get out of here. That will feel so weird. I do not like that. The only plus to this, and by the way, you guys don't notice because you can't see our legs, but everyone on this panel right now is tall. Lou is 6 something. I'm 5'9". I think what are you 5'9" about Brooke, something like that. So
5'11".
we're
Don't
all
try
pretty
it.
tall. Oh, okay. We're all pretty tall, long legs. So we like the idea of having some leg room, more leg room, because that's a problem on planes. But that idea of turning the seat around to where that other person is right in my face, no, thank you.
And if you're thinking about like, okay, so they got the plexiglass there, but unless you're going to all be hermetically sealed or you're all going to have your own oxygen masks and tanks, it doesn't matter because all an airplane is a pressurized tube that recirculates air for the 2.5 to 4 hour flight that you're in. I mean, so if someone sneezes in 1C and you're back in 30B, I mean,
You're gonna catch it.
it's there.
Right.
How many times on an airplane just in normal, back in the good old days, BC, before Corona, where you've gotten the sniffles after flying just somewhere. And that's just because, I mean, they even made like the airborne, tablets you can take to help boost the immune system. I mean, just because you get the sniffles, just get a sore throat just from flying. So, I mean, the airplane thing is going to be, with any sort of business, as we talk about ramping up the restaurants, as we talk about ramping up movie theaters and barbershops and airplanes, there's going to have to be a standard for a while until antibodies develop, until there is a vaccine or whatever treatment is clear and cut and defined. You're going to have mandated social distancing, in my opinion. The airplanes aren't going to be able to sell capacity, which will probably mean ticket prices are going to go up because they're going to have to be able to sell fewer tickets on these airplanes. So a flight from Jacksonville to New York, it might hold 275 people. You might have to take that down to 100 people. That way you can put space and distance. Now, that being said, as I just mentioned, you're still in that tube. And the same thing going on with restaurants. You're not going to be able to have full house capacities. And with restaurants having to dial back their capacity when things get reopened, maybe they can only serve half the number of guests per night. I mean, you might notice menu items starting to go up as well. This is going to have a long-term impact on our economy in a kind of gradual upward slope until things can kind of flatten up and then pan right back down. The flight thing to me right now is still so distant an idea, even as we do get back to normal, that I haven't even really dived into it to concern myself, because it just seems like it's way off for me personally.
You know what, Lou? I was just thinking as you were talking about, you were just using as an example, Jacksonville to New York. I remember going to New York back in December, and oh my gosh, it was absolutely ridiculous because, that's holiday season. Everybody, their auntie, their mama, they're going to visit people. And I was just thinking about this, I wonder how holiday season is going to be. Will people even be doing as much traveling as they've done in the past this year? And of course, it's a little early to say, but just think about if those planes do end up switching sooner than later, the headaches that there are going to, that everybody's going to have at these different airports and whatnot. Because first of all, you're going to have people that are just trying to get to where they're trying to get. And if there are less seats, that means, maybe less trips, maybe it means more trips. But what happens when there's delays in weather? What happens, are people just going to hop on the road, which is what we were forced to do last December because the flight was overbooked and they had too many people and they were like, can y'all stay back and everything? And it was a hot mess and they had to get on the road for 13, 14 hours. But don't remind me of that day because I still get angry when I think about it. So
taking you back.
What you're going to see, and this was something, it was interesting. I was sitting on a conference call with the governor's reopened Florida task force. And it was interesting because they had the president and CEO of Universal Orlando. So it was kind of a theme park idea because Florida, the economy, if you just put Disney World and Universal Orlando and everything that's in Orlando, that tourism industry, how much money comes into Florida because of that. It's why we don't have a state income tax, if you think about it. We don't pay a state income tax because we've got these tourism-driven dollars. You had the CEO of Universal Orlando speaking on this conference call and comparing notes with the one of the head attorneys for the PGA Tour and sports leagues, talking about how and airlines, how can we reopen? How can we, because with all of these things comes queuing up, comes lining up. So if you think TSA, if you think airlines, if you think just lining up at the ticket counter, there's going to have to be different ways to do it. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting is how some of these other industries could learn from a place like Disney or Universal, where if you've been recently before all this, they've got virtual queues now. I mean, you can sign up to, you don't have to wait in the lines right next shoulder to shoulder for certain attractions. You don't have to wait shoulder to shoulder. You just sign up on your phone, and then essentially they say, come back at this time, and you can ride your ride. You can do other things that spaces people out. That was a neat little perk before. That's not going to be a neat little perk after. It's going to be an absolute requirement to be able to open up those places, at least according to these protocols that were pitched out in this brainstorming sessions. And that's something I think the airlines could look towards too. If you're waiting in TSA, maybe don't just hop straight in that line. If you notice, you maybe can virtually queue up. Same thing for getting in line at the gate. That just could be that sort of next level thing I know that they were brainstorming and thinking about.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. When you mentioned TSA, there is an option right now. At least when you fly internationally, I've done it. You can sign up to where you pretty much bypass a lot of the lines that most people have to join when you have to go through TSA. But you'd have to sign for it and get pre-screened, all that fun stuff. But it's an option for you, and that's another thing. I am big on options. Give people the options. Let them make the safe, smart choice in their own opinions. In terms of flying, I even before Corona, I was that person you would look at and judge because I wipe down my seats. I don't care. I'm the one that walks in with the Lysol wipes and wipes everything down. People stare at me. I'm not concerned about it. I make sure to take my airborne before and after my flights. It's just a precaution that's always been in me. I'm a bit of a germaphobe, but it's funny to see people doing the same thing now. All those who judged me before. It's the necessary thing to do. But again, it's the option. If you choose to fly, you're going to do so, but hopefully safely. Do what's smart in your eyes, in your opinion, not just for yourself, but for the folks around you.
Yep, absolutely. It's normal.
And yeah, it's funny that you all say that because I was talking to my best friend yesterday, and he, honestly, he's kind of one of those that's a little afraid of this virus and whatnot. And, I try to make sure he understands how important it is to remain hopeful. And, as I always say, keep the faith and everything. But I told him, I said, what, at the end of the day, you've got to just protect yourself. This is what it boils down to. You can't let your guard down and just expect people around you to do the right thing. Always remember, you've got to do the right thing for yourself. You know what I mean?
You said you were talking to your best friend yesterday. Now, that's funny because I didn't receive a phone call from you, and now I'm hurt.
Stop it.
Look, you didn't answer, so I had to call my other one.
Go to the next best thing.
My second best friend. You are a trip. So look, class of 2020 has definitely felt it this year with this pandemic, and kind of is throwing off all the traditional graduation ceremonies, prom, just a little bit of everything that would have happened this last piece of their school year, their senior year. But Facebook and Instagram are going to be doing something to kind of help them out and give them something to look forward to. And they're hosting a virtual graduation for the class of 2020. Now, everybody wanted to know who is going to be delivering the commencement address. Well, turns out it's going to be Miss Oprah Winfrey. Miss Oprah Winfrey is going to be bringing the address, and lots of folks are, of course, excited about that. But also some of the other names that are going to be there: Jennifer Garner, Simone Biles, Miley Cyrus, Lil Nas X, just a couple of the other names that are going to be present. And that ceremony is set for May 15th at 2 o'clock. Now, they're going to be giving some shout outs with photos and videos of the senior class from all around the country. And I think this is going to be quite interesting to see how they pull it off. Now, because Facebook and Instagram are hosting it, I think we can expect a pretty good version of what a virtual graduation is going to be like, because I think they're going to step it up and make sure. And if Oprah's involved, then they're not half-stepping. They're coming ready.
Who's Little Nas X? Is he the guy that was in that pink cowboy hat?
Old Town Road.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, Lil Nas X. He's something else.
Something else.
Yeah.
Something else indeed. Yeah, this is going to be exciting. It's really nice to see things being done to make the class of 2020 feel special and understand that we care. Missing out on your graduation is such a big deal. I mean, you worked so long, so hard to finally get to cross that stage, and it's not happening for so many people. So it's really good to see. folks like Facebook and Instagram and Oprah stepping up and doing, and Lil Nas X stepping up and doing something nice for our graduates, the class of 2020, that they're missing out on so much. So this is, I'm glad that it's being done for them.
I think we mentioned this on a daily dive last week. One of these weeks we were talking about graduation, and we were talking about this class of 2020, and what they're being shortchanged. But
Mhm.
I think in 40 years, when we're at 2060, we'll say, and these guys are looking back, and they're going to have an unbelievable connection. I don't think I'm okay. So my high school graduating class of 2001, baby. I can't go to some random guy who graduated from a different state, class of 2001, and have any real connect. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we did. But 2020, anybody, I think, from coast to coast, California to Florida to South Carolina, you could talk and be like, we are connected in a way, a unique bond.
We got gypped together.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got all these cool celebrities shouting us out, and we got all these cool shout outs from news and things like that. And all these people tried to help, and make us feel as cool as possible and as normal as possible. And in that way, I mean, it's really a special thing for them. Now, granted, I'm not saying in any way that they're lucky in all this. They're very unlucky, and it's very unfortunate. I just think down the road, they're going to look back and say, wow, we had something together.
Lou, I don't think they have a choice but to do that because
You're gonna have to look at the positives.
You're right. They literally don't have a choice. That is one way that'll bring together. It's like if you run into somebody that went to your high school that maybe you weren't even close with or anything like that. But we went to the same high school. Well, that kind of sparks a relationship, between you and that person just for simply going to the same high school. Yeah. Don't think class of 2020. Of course, they did not want this, but I do think in the future they will be able to look back, tell their kids and let them know, hey, 2020 was a year to remember.
Or
that's
forget,
all I can say.
Heck.
No, listen, they could never forget this one, though, Keith. They could never forget this one. Well, guys, we thank you so much for joining us. Again, you've been watching Daily Dive. We're here Wednesday through Friday at 8 o'clock. Let's just look at the poll. Is it time for Jacksonville to reopen?
What are folks saying?
192 of you say yes.
That's a close one. I mean,
And 123 say no.
I can't see the numbers.
Yeah.
What are they saying?
192 for yes, and then 123 folks voted no.
I'm telling you,
I'm a little shocked because I saw so many angry emojis at the beginning, so I thought we had more no's than yeses. But wow, there it is. Those are the results.
The angry emoji, it just looks much more menacing than the thumbs up. Like
that's true.
The angry emoji is just kind of like, oh my god, this person's so mad at me.
It just keeps going. Yeah.
I'm telling you, Brooks, thanks for having us again. I do appreciate
absolutely,
you
man.
to invite us back. This is illuminating.
You know what, Lou? I'll think about it. I may have to call you tomorrow before the show.
Maybe
and
you
invite
call your best friend instead.
Ooh,
I don't think it's going to be able to make it either.
Real.
We'll have to see what
I love
happens.
it.
But you guys stay safe. Until next time, we'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock.